action. Everybody's always asking what kind of loans we do here at Columbia Green Federal Credit Union.
Let's tell them.
Holiday.
Consolidation.
Quads.
Snowmobiles.
Wedding.
Back to school.
Heating oil.
Boats.
Motorcycles.
Jet skis.
Campers.
Trucks.
RVs.
Lawnmowers.
Furniture.
First-time auto buyers.
Dirt bikes.
Vacations.
Vet bills.
Home improvements.
Pools.
Appliances.
Home equity.
Anything. Anything at all.
You want it? We got it.
Welcome back to the Press Box, presented by Columbia Green Federal Credit Union. We are going into the final week of the regular season in high school football, Week 7. They'll have playoffs after that, and then crossovers for anybody that wants to play continually. But going back into Week 6, lots of action going on, and we have a lot coming up also. But start off Chatham with a big game, 54-0 over Catskill-Caro Durham.
Catskill-Caro Durham Bride came into this game with a full head of steam.
Yep.
2-3 overall. They had just come off a big win at home, where they're undefeated, over Taconic Hills, 24-14, and with a new head coach and Dan Hatch, who's really changed the outlook of that team, the culture of the team, the influx of talent from the kids that make the trip over from Catskill Central School District. Things were looking up for them, but. Speaking of looking up, I mean, it couldn't look more up than it does for Chatham. I mean, they came into the game state-ranked, undefeated, 5-0, and when the dust had settled, it was Chatham still undefeated at 6-0 with that big 54-0 win. Make no mistake about it, Catskill-Caro Durham has talent, and they are on the upswing. It's just that at this point in time, Chatham just has too much, and they have too much for a lot of teams, not just Catskill-Caro Durham. They looked really good. They excelled on both sides of the ball, as they have all season long. Caleb Taylor had a big game, threw for 2 touchdown passes. Returned an interception, 66 yards for a touchdown pass. It was interesting because prior to picking off that pass, he threw an interception in that game. You could see how it really affected him. He it really bothered him. So on the ensuing drive for Catskill-Caro Durham, he picked off the pass and raced 66 yards. That's a nice little get back for him. But he's that kind of competitor. If he makes a mistake, he's going to come back and make you pay for it. So he was impressive. Tristan Skimmerhorn leads Section 2 in scoring with 106 points. He had 2 more touchdowns, giving him 17 for the season, one on a 55-yard touchdown run, the other on an 81-yard kickoff return to start the second half. So he's having a great year. But there's so many other players that have excelled. In that game in particular, Quentin Kastner had a couple of touchdown receptions. Hunter Sheriff ran hard. Both lines performed very well. Chatham definitely looking good right now as they head into this coming week's game. They've already wrapped up their South Division schedule. They won the South Division championship with a perfect 6-0 record. But now they hit the road to play Class D team, Green Central from Section 4. They'll be playing that game on Saturday at 2:30 at Fonda Fultonville High School up in what is that, Montgomery County up there. But for sure, that's going to be an interesting game because I mean, Class D, Green. You think they're 4-2? How good can they be? They are good. They are good. The only 2 losses they have are to state-ranked teams. 26-23 to Sydney, which is the number 3 ranked team in Class D. They lost 34-23 to Waverly, which is the number 20 team ranked in Class C. It's going to be interesting. Like I say, Green is not without talent. I mean, they have some talent in quarterback Nate Erickson, who's thrown for close to 800 yards, 11 touchdowns, just 1 interception. He leads the team in rushing with 488 yards. He's also a sure tackler from his strong safety position with 50 tackles. He has 2 interceptions. But they're running into a juggernaut themselves in Chatham, which is now moved up 2 spots this week to number 11 in the state in Class C. So all in all, it's an interesting matchup and a game I think that will serve Chatham well down the line as they're playing a good quality non-division opponent from a different section as they head into the Section 2 Class C playoffs next week. And that's going to be a dogfight too, because there's a lot of good teams in Section 2 Class C. There
are a ton. And like you said, Green has 2 losses, both the state-ranked teams. I'm going out on a limb saying they get their 3rd loss to another state-ranked team this weekend. So it's going to be a good game for Chatham, a good litmus test bit for them going forward. Catskill-Caro Durham, they're going to be playing Warrior I think this is a good bounce-back game for them. This is not the Warrior of old that would just steamroll most of the teams in the area, including Caro Durham. So, but this week, Catskill Durham, I think, has a real shot at getting their third win of the season after going so long without a win at all.
No doubt about it. In past years, Waterville Elite football, I mean, they were second to none.
Yeah,
I mean, and you look at the schedule, you see Waterville Elite matched up against Catskill Durham. That's one you wouldn't want to go see because,
right.
I mean, there'd be no contest. Times have changed.
They have.
Catskill Durham, I'm with you. I think they have a really, really legit shot to beat this Waterville Elite team, which has struggled. They started out 2-1. They've since lost 3 straight, including this past weekend. They lost a 40-7 decision to Voorheesville, and they're reeling a bit right now. Where Catskill Durham, I'm sure they came off that big loss to Chatham, but everybody's coming off big losses to Chatham.
Right.
Anybody who plays the Panthers this year has come off big losses. So I think this team has the intestinal fortitude, though, with Coach Hatch at the helm and his fine staff, and with the leadership they have in quarterback, senior quarterback Jake Hall, who's had a tremendous year in this his final season in high school. I think they have what it takes. Jake has over 1,000 yards in total offense, 700 yards passing, 400 yards, close to actually 500 yards rushing. I think Waterville's going to have their hands full, not only with Catskill Durham, but especially with Jake in the fact that he can beat you with his arm and his legs. And I definitely see Catskill Durham coming out on top in this one against Waterville. I think it's going to be a good game, but I like CCD in this one.
Yeah, definitely. Now, also last week, Taconic Hills got its first win of the season, 22-12 over Coxsackie Athens. They put up a good showing over there at Coxsackie for Coxsackie's homecoming. They went in and. Taconic Hills this year has been a bit of a down year, so some teams are looking at them as there's maybe our homecoming game, we can get a win against them. They're not going to have it. They're going to go in there and play their hardest, and they came out with the win, 22-12.
Yeah, well, that kind of thing didn't work for Coxsackie Athens this past week. But good game, though. A good game. Yeah. It was close throughout the first half. The Titans took a 16-12 lead by halftime, added a insurance touchdown in the fourth quarter to seal the deal, and won 22-12.
Yep.
Devin Sharon, a good all-around game, had 111 yards of total offense and scored a couple of touchdowns. He's had a good year for them. He can hurt you catching the ball, running the ball, catching the ball out of the backfield. Just a good all-around player who rejoined the football team after taking a couple of years off in his senior season. So happy for Coach Anderson, Mark Anderson, and his staff and the boys for getting that monkey off the back, getting that first win. And I'll tell you, it might be tough this week as they have a home game against a very fine Helderberg Valley team. But in the crossovers down the line, I could see them winning a couple more games, at least one more game. And so I'm sure Taconic Hills will taste victory again before the season's out.
I think they will. And Coxsackie Athens as well. Maybe not this weekend. They're playing against Voorheesville, which is a very tough team. That's also going to be home at Coxsackie. So you might not get these wins right away, but they're coming. They're coming down the line, and Patty Bailey over there is getting his guys ready and just trying to figure out a good mix of what offenses and defenses he can run that really highlights what he has at Coxsackie.
And I got to really press upon fan bases and students from both schools that just be patient with these guys.
Right.
You got 2 good young coaches there, 2 good young coaching staffs, some good young talented players coming through, and the wins will come. I mean, maybe not right now. Everybody wants that instant gratification, but they will come down the line. So just hang with these guys, and they'll put you where you want to be.
Yeah. Now, Ichabod Crane is another team that has a lot of talent. They just haven't been able to get over the hump. They're still looking for their first win. They took a loss at home this past weekend to Ravenna, 30-20. Another tough loss for them. But again, another team, lots of horses, lots of guys that can put up big numbers. Hayden Brookman, one of the best tight ends in the area. They have good quarterbacks, 2 quarterbacks who have been sharing time all season.
Solid
both of them very good. Toby Zuko has been running the ball very well. So big things, I think, come for them. This weekend, they'll also have a home game against Lansingburg, which is a game that they can and maybe should win.
No doubt about it. The Riders dug themselves too big of a hole in that loss to Ravenna this past weekend. They were down 18-0 at halftime. They came back to actually outscore Ravenna 20-12 in the second half. But that hole they dug for themselves in the first half was just too much for them, and then they took it on the chin to drop to 0-6. But this is definitely a winnable game. In fact, I see them winning. This past weekend, Tyler James returned at quarterback, threw for 211 yards. Hadn't played quarterback in the last 2 weeks. Comes back and throws 211 yards. Zuko had 7 receptions. Toby Zuko, that is. Hayden Brookman, the touchdown maker, the man. Great tight end. He had 5 catches. And speaking of touchdowns, Ichabod's had no problem scoring
No,
this year.
not at all.
They put points on the board.
Yeah.
Stopping people is what's been their problem. But
Right.
I can see a wild game against Lansingburg, but I see the Riders winning this one and winning a couple more before the season's out when they get to the crossover games. So although they're 0-6 right now, I can definitely see Ichabod taking off on a little bit of a streak here with the W's in the closing weeks of the season. Looking forward to seeing that.
And sticking with Ravenna a bit, Hudson had a bit of a weird week this past week. They're going to be playing against Ravenna this coming Friday. But talk us through a little bit of what happened actually with the Hudson. They were supposed to play Shelmont on Friday night.
Well, word came down on Thursday that the game was canceled,
Right.
and we're all looking at each other in the office, like, what? So we did some digging, and what happened? The Shelmont team came down with a case of what's known as Coxsackie virus.
Yeah, hand, foot, and mouth disease.
That's the one. You said it, because I just think of it as hand and foot or something like that. But either way, what happens, I believe that's where you get the sores in your mouth, you get the fever, flu-like symptoms, and rash. It's just disgusting. But so we won't touch on that too much. But Shelmont, a couple of the kids came down with that. So in the safety purposes, they decided we're going to not play this game. They will make it up, though. But for Hudson now, it's going to be tough because they essentially have 3 games in the span of about 8 days.
Yeah.
This coming Friday night, they play their homecoming game against Ravenna. Seems like it's been months since they've been home.
Yeah.
But they finally get their next home game, and it's the homecoming game against Ravenna. Then they play 4 days later, which is Tuesday, the 16th of October, against Shelmont, up in Shelmont, and then that weekend they'll be playing a playoff game, and they will be in the playoffs. So basically 3 games in 8 days, which is insane because the pros don't even do that.
Right.
So,
and this is, again, it's really tough competition too. Ravenna has been playing well. They had coming off a big win, and it's for third place in their conference.
Yes.
So it's a big game for everybody involved in that one. Then you have to turn around and play Shelmont, which is one of the top teams in the conference. And then the following week you have to turn around, play Friday or Saturday in a playoff game against one of the best teams, again, in the conference, in Class B. So it's a really tough road for Hudson to end their season on.
And as you mentioned, this game, Hudson and Ravenna, is definitely for third place.
Yeah.
Both teams will make it. One will be third, one will be fourth. But you have Shelmont and Cobleskill already in as the 1 and 2 seeds from the Rhineford Division in Class B. If Ravenna beats Hudson, they would be 3 and 2 in the division. Hudson would be 2 and 2, and even if Hudson went on to beat Shelmont, they'd be 3 and 2. But third place would go to Ravenna by way of a win over Hudson. So this is definitely for third place, and what that would entail is playing a crossover game in the first round of the playoffs against the second team from the North Division rather than the first team, which will probably be Glens Falls. But either way, Glens Falls and Schuylerville should finish 1 and 2. So whether you're third or fourth, you're going to go on the road in the first round of the playoffs in Class B and face a quality opponent, whether it's Schuylerville or Glens Falls. So that's the victory. I mean, you get third place, and you get a road game against Schuylerville. You don't win, or if whoever finishes fourth has to play a road game at Glens Falls. It's going to be tough.
It's going to be a tough way to end this season out and end this week out. It's got a lot of games, hopefully no injuries. That's the best case scenario, is just getting through the week without any type of injuries or kids getting too down on themselves if anything goes south. So just to recap, Friday night we have 4 games. Voorheesville at Coxsackie. We have Helderberg Valley at Taconic Hills. We have Ravenna at Hudson and Lansingburg at Ichabod. Then we move on to Saturday. We have the Chatham vs. Green at Fonda Fultonville, 2:30, and Watervliet at Catskill Carroll Durham at 1 o'clock. So 6 games, 5 of them are home games. So any teams that you support, get out there, support your teams, and we'll recap the games next week and look into the first round of the playoffs / crossover games.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, thank you for joining the Press Box, presented by Columbia Green Federal Credit Union.